Welcome to Vlogmas number, I don't know. I'm just sitting here waiting on my car to warm up and thought I would do a few little sit down videos to upload at a later date to fill in when I don't have nothing to record. So what just came to my mind is, I don't know, let me do a little random video about the different jobs I worked in my lifetime. I'm 33 years old and I have worked I'm thinking, 4 different jobs in my lifetime. I know that might be a lot to some people, especially younger people, and that might be few to some people. I never really been a big job hopper, but all right. So my first job I ever worked, I was 16 years old. I worked at McDonald's from the age of 16 to right before 18 years old. So right after when I turned 16, the next day I filled out an application and I basically was hired the next week. And why did I quit that? I was just tired of flipping burgers and tired of the smell. Plus, I just didn't feel like going to work. I mean, I went to school and I also did lots of hair and just didn't want to go to work. The smell of working there actually stunk so bad. And then my next job was working at the Palace doing housekeeping when from the age of 18 to a little past 20. I would say 20 and a half or something like that. I was pregnant with MarMar and I decided, I need to work again since I'm about to have a baby. And that's when I went to work at the Palace. Oh yeah, it's called the Palace of Urban Hills. I think that's still the name of it. And for the people that don't know what that is, that's where the Detroit Pistons hometown or played their basketball games or whatever. And they also have a lot of concerts there when stars and singers and all that stuff come. They normally go there. And I will also end up at DTE, which was part of the Palace. It was like an outside pavilion where they would have concerts and stuff at too. So I worked there. And when I broke up with MarMar dad, I had moved to Ohio. So I left the Palace and then I started working at Speedway, which is a gas station. And then I lasted about a month and a half, got homesick, and I came back to Michigan. So I picked my job back up at the Palace, plus working at Speedway. And I had a spin out. I was going to work in the winter one time, and everybody was going slow. I'm trying to think how this goes. Everybody was going slow, and the car wanted to get around, so he decided to go weave it in between traffic. When he hopped in front of me and hit his brakes, I hit my brakes, and I was on black ice, and I didn't know better. I was about 21 at this time. It was like 5 in the morning, so it was still dark. I had no idea that I was on black ice. I have heard about black ice because you might as well say I basically grew up north, and that's where I learned to drive. This past summer was actually my very first time ever driving down south. Even just being down there driving around town, first time ever. Didn't even realize that I should have enjoyed the moment, but good thing I got it on video. That's a good reason why the vlog. Anyway, so when he got in front of me, he hit his brakes. He had to because he's swerving in between cars trying to get around. Normally when the roads are bad, we still drive on our roads up here in Michigan, but you just drive with caution, meaning you drive slower, you leave extra distance between you and the cars and stuff like that. Well, so when I hit my brakes, I lost control of my car. My car spun this way, then I corrected it and I overcorrected, so it spun that way, and then I overcorrected and it spun that way, and then it just started spinning backwards. My car turning around, but it's going backwards on the freeway in front of all these cars. And that spinning backwards is called hydroplaning. So my car hydroplaned in front of other cars, and I ended up in a ditch. And there was already another car in the ditch, but I didn't hit that car. And a guy stopped and asked me, was I okay? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I seen the car cut you off. He's like, I was scared for you. You spent right in front of a semi. I didn't even know I spent in front of a semi. Because when I went to correct it, after the third time, it just started spinning. I closed my eyes. I pushed back from the steering wheel and I started praying. And I was 21 years old. Did I even start? Nope, I haven't started in the medical field at all at that time. So I didn't know anything. I knew prayer, and I started praying, and I ended up in that ditch, and I just had a flat tire on my car, and that guy had called the tow truck. Actually, I had a cell phone at the time. Cell phones were beginning to become popular. I think I had a minute phone where you can't like just talk all day and use the internet, but you can make a few calls. And it took a minute for the truck to come. I called my mom because she was working third shift. So she would normally get off that time in the morning. And she had already had a bad accident that left her upside down in a car in ice. And she was pregnant with my little sister at that time. So she was already scared to drive on the highway. And she found out that I crashed. I'm like, well, the tow truck taking forever, and I just seen this car go up the ramp and leave. So I'm just gonna go up the ramp and get off this curve, and I'm gonna put my donut on. Which, if y'all don't, for the people that don't know what a donut is, it's the small tire that goes with your car, just enough to get your car your tire fixed. And so she was like, "Well, hold on, I'm coming." So I drove to the gas station. I did that. I didn't have no gloves on me. The lady that worked there seen me outside changing a tire, and I was a young lady at that time. I mean, you can see the youth in me. And she gave me her gloves, so I used her gloves to change my tire, put the donut on, and I went and took her gloves back and um just let her know that my mom was on her way and that I was gonna go. She's like, I can't believe all those guys out there didn't help you change a tire. I'm like, it's okay. My mama showed me how to change a tire. Which 2 years prior, at the age of 18, my mama showed me how to change a tire while I was pregnant. I'm so happy with all the things my mom taught me. So my mom had caught a ride with a coworker that dropped her off to where I was. By this time, I was halfway to work. I lived in Flint. My mom worked in Clarkston, and I worked in Pontiac at the time. And I had my blowout around the Holly exit. That's just for anybody that know anything about the area. And my mom met up with me and I just drove her home. And I feel like the next day I drove her to work because she had left her car at work and it was fine. And I got off track. Anyway, after that, I didn't go back to work at the Palace. I said it wasn't worth it. I was working at the Palace part time. I was working at Speedway, the gas station, part time. And by this time, um, I was able to keep my pay when I came back to Michigan for Speedway, which was around $7 an hour, which I was making about $7.50 an hour at the Palace. And I had been at the Palace by this time for 3 years because I kept my pay when I came back to work at the Palace. And I'm like, it's not worth it. So I just started working full time at the gas station. And I remained at that gas station for the next 8 years. I think that's how it went. Yeah, 8 years. I worked there even when I lost my mom. And I might do a story time on what it was like losing my mama. I never like really did a story time and dealing with a family member with cancer. And I feel like me telling my story will probably help some people. And I know it would help some people because when I read Michelle Obama's book, she she talked about she did a story time on what it was like for her losing her best friend to cancer, and it was something that was so relatable. And I wish I had known better at the time because I would have did better, but that's at a later date. So I worked at that gas station up until I lost my mom, and I took like, whew, probably a good 3 months off of work when I lost my mama on family medical leave. 12 weeks, 3 months. I think, yeah, I took 12 weeks off. And I came back to work and I worked maybe a week or so, and just everything there reminded me of my mom and how I was losing my mom, but I was still going to work at that gas station, giving my all, remaining faithful to that gas station while I was losing my mama. And I just couldn't handle all the emotions and stuff. And I just told the manager there that day, I'm like, I quit. She's like, what's wrong? I said, I quit. And I walked out and I left. I didn't have no other job, no other source of income. I was on the verge of breaking down. And I quit and I shut down and I shut down. And then I started going to school for EMT. And after I completed my school for EMT, I went to work as an EMT. And I've been doing that ever since. And next month will make 4 years since I've been nationally certified as a medical emergency technician. Um, that's it. So I only worked 4 different jobs in my life, and that was fast food, cashier, housekeeping, and emergency medical technician. That's it. So I'm just gonna end this video here and let it be a little short video that's not too long. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. I'm just a mom of four.
La la